Welcome to Hidden Path Tarot, where hidden truths come to light, intuition becomes your compass, and spirit gently reveals the unseen path ahead. If you have found your way here, trust that there's a message meant to shine the light on your hidden path. Hi, this message is for Aries, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus placements. Aries, this is your mid-monthly August reading. Spirits, let's get a card for Aries' past path. What card best represents the past path for Aries? What card do we need to see? The Page of Pentacles. And this card will be for Aries' present path. What is the energy around Aries and their present path in August? What card do we need to see for Aries' current path? The King of Pentacles. And this is for Aries' heart path. What is going on in matters of the heart, self-worth, or emotional fulfillment for Aries in August, spirits? What card do we need to see for Aries? The Two of Swords. And this will be for Aries' purpose path. Work, money, or soul's journey for Aries in August. What do they need to know about their purpose path? Page of Cups. And Aries' hidden path. This is why we're here, to find out what is being kept hidden, secret, and lies. What is going on behind Aries' back? What can we tell him? What do we got? We've got the Moon and the Page of Swords. Okay, and this last card will be the guidance for Aries for the remainder of August. Let's get a card for Aries and some guidance, please. The Ace of Swords. And these are the Forest Spirits Oracle deck. Forest Spirits, let's get a card for the past path for Aries. This is their August reading. What card best represents the past path for Aries? Bear Spirit, Untamed Spirit. Allow yourself to run wild and free as you explore your own fierce but gentle nature. And this will be for Aries' present path, Forest Spirits. What card best represents the energy around Aries' present path? What lesson is Aries currently working through? Earth Elemental, Strength. Stay rooted and draw upon the Earth's wisdom to navigate the challenges in your life. And this will be for Aries' heart path. What is going on in matters of the heart, self-worth, and emotional fulfillment? What kind of patterns are surfacing for Aries in their relationships in August? Tree Spirit, Wise Counsel. Like the wind whispers to the leaves, your higher self gives you guidance now. And this will be for Aries' purpose path. Work, money, or soul's journey. What unique gifts or talents is Aries meant to share with the world. What card do we need to see for us, spirits? Butterfly spirit, transform. Welcome change and emerge stronger, just as the butterfly emerges from its cocoon. And the hidden path. What is being kept hidden, kept secret from Aries right now? What do they not see coming for us, spirits? Good news with the bluebird spirit. Let this message of hope inspire you to keep going and lend your support to others. And the guidance path. For us, spirits, let's get some clear advice for Aries' highest good in August. What card do we need to show them for some good advice? Crystal spirit, communicate. Express yourself authentically and vulnerably to strengthen your relationships. And these are the Unstoppable You Oracle. Unstoppable You. Let's get a card that best represents the past path for Aries. What card do we need to show them? What patterns of the past are influencing Aries right now? Fear means you're growing. And the present path. What card best represents the energy around August for Aries? What lesson is Aries currently working through? Protect your vision. And the heart path. Matters of the heart, self-worth, and emotional fulfillment. What is an important lesson that Aries needs to learn in the heart path? Nothing changes if you wait. And Aries' purpose path. Work, money, or soul's journey. What steps can Aries take to align more fully with their life purpose? Say yes to you. And the hidden path, Unstoppable You. What does Aries not see coming? Secrets, lies, and unseen intentions. What card do we need to see? Your breakthrough is coming. And some clear, good, solid advice for Aries in August. Where should Aries be focusing their energy to create the most progress? Take the leap. And I thought it would be fun to add a Love Vibes Oracle card to the Heart Path this month. Just add a little extra special message for you, Aries. So, Love Vibes Oracle, let's get one card that we can add to the Heart Path to give some additional messages to Aries in August. What card do we need to show in August, please? Comfortability. This is the kind of connection that doesn't require performing. You can be messy, quiet, soft, or strong and still feel accepted. Aries, after looking at all the cards, your mid-August reading looks like a transition from learning and preparing into actually trusting what you've built. There's a noticeable maturity developing here. You begin with the Page of Pentacles and move into the King of Pentacles. So something that may have started as an idea, experiment, new responsibility or uncertain new beginning is becoming much more solid. But there's also an interesting tension in this reading. 3 pages appear, yet there are no wands anywhere on the table. For Aries, a fire sign naturally associated with action, instinct, and movement forward, this absence feels meaningful. You may have plenty of ideas, information, emotional awareness, and a practical ability right now. But the part of you that simply says, I'm going to do it, may be hesitating. And that becomes especially important because the only major arcana in the entire spread is the Moon card, sitting in your hidden path beside the Page of Swords. So underneath all of this growth, there may be uncertainty, overthinking, or a desire to know more before making the next move. Mid-August may be less about finding another answer, Aries, and more about trusting the person you've already become enough to act on the answers that you already have. Let's walk these paths together now. Your past path, the Page of Pentacles, Bear Spirit, Untamed Spirit, and Fear Means You're Growing. The combination of these cards looks like the beginning of something that mattered enough to make you nervous, Aries. The Page of Pentacles is willing to learn. It doesn't pretend to have everything mastered. It may represent starting a new job, developing a new skill, exploring a new business idea, or simply trying to build a more stable life. What's interesting is this Bear Spirit beside it, Untamed Spirit, adds something much less cautious to an otherwise very careful page. So Aries, you may have been trying to reconcile 2 parts of yourself. I want to do this correctly with, I also want to do this my way. And Fear Means You're Growing suggests that discomfort may have already accompanied that process. Not necessarily danger, more like the nervousness that comes with becoming responsible for something that you actually care about. This could have looked like you taking something more seriously than you used to. Instead of casually thinking maybe someday, you start asking, what would it actually take? That matters because your present path is the King of Pentacles. A page to a king is a substantial progression. The present path, the King of Pentacles, earth elemental strength, and protect your vision. This says that something has matured, Aries. You may be more capable, established, or prepared than you are giving yourself credit for. This could involve money, work, long-term security, or simply a stronger sense of your own personal authority. The king doesn't chase every opportunity. He evaluates. And protect your vision doesn't necessarily mean keeping your plans secret. I would look at this more of becoming more selective about what gets access to your time, attention, and confidence. This can show up as saying, I'm not abandoning this because someone else doesn't understand it. I don't have to explain every decision. And you don't need immediate validation. Or I can build something slowly without constantly questioning whether it matters. The earth elemental reinforces grounding. There is strength here, but it isn't a loud strength. It's consistency. And that makes the total absence of wands even more interesting. You have the stability. You have the idea. You have emotional movement. You have information. What you may not have yet is ignition. Then we reach the heart path. The Two of Swords, tree spirit, wise counsel, and nothing changes if you wait, plus the love vibes, comfortability. This may be the clearest psychological message in the entire reading. Something emotionally important has become comfortable enough that Aries, you can live with it, but perhaps not satisfying enough, that you truly want to stay there. The Two of Swords often describes postponement. It can be, I'm not ready to decide yet, but sometimes underneath that is, as long as I don't decide, I don't have to deal with what happens next. And comfortability is fascinating because comfort isn't inherently bad. The question is whether comfort has become a substitute for fulfillment. That could involve a relationship where nothing is terribly wrong, but nothing is progressing either. It could be a familiar emotional pattern. It could be staying quiet to preserve harmony. It could be even remaining in a job or situation because you know just how it works. It could even be tolerating your own indecision because making the choice feels more uncomfortable than staying where you are. Tree Spirit Wise Counsel says, don't make the decision impulsively. Think about what supports your long-term well-being. But nothing changes if you wait adds a correction. Thinking cannot become permanent postponement. For relationships specifically, this could be very relatable. Someone may have reached a point where we're fine isn't quite enough anymore. And that doesn't automatically mean leaving. It may mean talking more, defining something, asking what someone wants, even admitting what you want. But that means you're going to need to change a reoccurring pattern. Comfortability becomes a problem only when preserving the familiar becomes more important than addressing the real truth. Then the purpose path gives you another page. The Page of Cups, butterfly spirit, transform and say yes to you. This feels beautifully different from the King of Pentacles. The King says, be responsible. But the Page of Cups says, but don't become so responsible that you stop being curious. This could bring a creative idea, invitation, new connection, or simply a renewed desire to explore something that makes you feel alive, Aries. Transformation, beside the Page of Cups, suggests emotional growth may actually require becoming a beginner again. And that's an important theme in this reading. You don't have to already know exactly what something will become before you allow yourself to explore it. And say yes to you may be especially important for someone who has spent a lot of time asking what makes sense, what is practical, what other people may need, or what is expected. There could be a small opportunity here that looks almost insignificant at first. A conversation, a creative project, a new message, a different approach to love, something that makes you think, that could be interesting. The Page of Cups says, follow that curiosity. Then comes the hidden path. And this is where I think the reading gets especially interesting. With the Moon, with the Page of Swords, good news, and your breakthrough is coming. These cards coming together feel very psychological. The Moon says, I don't know. And the Page of Swords says, then I'm going to need more information. That combination can become productive curiosity, but it also can become hyper vigilant, watching, researching, reading between the lines, trying to anticipate someone else's next move, looking for certainty that may simply not exist yet. And because this is the only major arcana, I think uncertainty itself may be one of the deeper developmental themes Aries is working through. Not necessarily overcoming uncertainty, but learning how to function without require certainty, and that's different. Bluebird spirit, good news, and your breakthrough is coming, makes this much more encouraging. The breakthrough may happen when information finally becomes clearer, but I wouldn't necessarily interpret this as dramatic revelations arriving from nowhere. It could be something so ordinary, like someone finally says what they mean, or you receive an answer. Some decision gets made, or you finally recognize a pattern, and you stop second guessing what you already know. The Page of Swords may therefore be about learning discernment, about asking the questions, gathering information, and paying attention. But don't interrogate uncertainty until it gives you a guarantee. Then the guidance path is wonderfully clean. Ace of Swords, crystal spirit, communicate and take the leap. This is where the whole reading resolves. Speak clearly. Decide clearly. Name what you want. Say what you mean. Have the conversation. The Ace of Swords cuts straight through that moon in the hidden path. And that's important. The solution to uncertainty here isn't necessarily waiting for intuition to become louder. It's clarity through action and communication. And take the leap brings us right back to your missing Page of Wands. I actually think the cards spread out through the reading reveal important details. The Page of Pentacles says, can I build this? The Page of Cups says, do I want this? And the Page of Swords says, what do I need to understand? But no Page of Wands. What happens if I just try? That missing page feels like the unanswered question. The Page of Wands is experimentation, enthusiasm, and curiosity through action, and nerve. It doesn't require mastery before beginning. And in this reading, where Aries, you're moving from the Page of Pentacles to the King of Pentacles, the irony may be that Aries, you have matured so much in that one area that now you're reluctant to look inexperienced anywhere else. And that happens all the time. Once we become competent, starting over somewhere new can feel strangely vulnerable. And that missing Page of Wands may therefore say, be willing to be new at something again. Try something before you're certain. Let enthusiasm count as information. Take one action instead of doing 10 more rounds of thinking. And the fact that there are no wands anywhere else in this thread makes the absence even louder. I'm not going to read this as Aries, you've lost your fire. How I would read it is your fire is the medicine. Earth is already so strong, the Page and the King of Pentacles and Earth Elemental. Air is present, the Two of Swords and the Page of Swords. What isn't represented through these tarot cards for your mid-August reading is the fire. So mid-August may be asking you to add action to an already well-developed process of thinking, feeling, and planning. Aries, you may feel like a beginner in whatever comes next, but you're bringing an older, wiser, more capable version of yourself into that new beginning. And I think that is truly the heart of the entire reading. You can be established and still begin again. You can be confident and still have questions. You can be wise and still explore. You can appreciate what is comfortable and still admit that you've outgrown it. And you don't have to wait until fear disappears before moving. Aries, I think the deeper message of this mid-August reading is that you may know more than you think you do. The past path is a reminder that you aren't approaching this new chapter as the same person who started the last one. You've gained experience, you've built strength, and you understand yourself differently now. So maybe the question for mid-August isn't, how can I become absolutely sure? Maybe it's, what do I already know clearly enough to act on? Say yes to the part of you that is ready for something different. You don't need the whole path to be mapped out. You may simply need to become that missing Page of Wands. Curious enough to begin, brave enough to experiment, and willing to discover what happens once you finally move. Aries, thanks so much for joining me here for your mid-August reading. We like to forage on the hidden path, so keep what you need and leave what you don't for the next person. And I'll see you on the hidden path again soon.